Hey folks, this is Kelani with patch 815 bringing a whole assortment of new content for us to work our way through, including the new war campaign and the Brawlers Guild. You may have skipped over a handful of other lesser known features or activities which could help you fill in the time between your raid nights. There's quite a variety in this video, from system updates to new world quests, some interesting leveling changes and more battle pets to collect. Let's have a look at 12 lesser known features of patch 815. First things first, you might not know that the Heart of Azeroth level is going to cap out at 50, because we're not really anywhere close to the majority of players reaching that particular milestone, but after this patch, we won't have to grind out any more artifact levels to unlock Azerite traits in the future. That's all done and dusted with patch 815. Any Azerite gear that comes in future patches and future raids will have all of the traits already unlocked for you, assuming you're at 50, just ready for you to use. For many players, this sounds like a fantastic thing. But I know there's a few cynics out there who will probably say Blizzard will use this as an excuse to drag out our heart leveling even further. It's going to take forever to get to 50, just you watch. Well, this first little 815 edition that might have slipped under your radar is an increase to almost every source of artifact power in the game. I guess the dev team want us to get to that 50 cap faster, not slower, because the amount of artifact power you get from each Battle of Desert Lore and Crucible of Storms boss has been increased to 450, up from 250. The amount of AP that comes from the Emissary quests has been bumped up to 1500 from 1000. Artifact power rewards in the weekly Mythic Keystone Cache has been increased by 500 AP at each level. The same goes for the weekly PvP reward cache, that's increased by 500 AP at each rank. So most of the weekly rewards have been given a good boost there, which should help you unlock your Azerite traits a bit faster than before. The only major AP source that didn't get a buff was the Island Expeditions, I guess, but they're still pretty lucrative either way. Speaking of island expeditions, did you know that in patch 815 every single island you run will give you some doubloons as a reward? You receive a bag of doubloons guaranteed from every island, no luck required. So that's a good chunk of RNG removed from the island expedition reward system. If only that could leak over into some other areas of the game, or I guess just to the other island rewards, but this change means that you can work towards anything on offer from the island doubloon vendor much easier. If you're interested in the pets, toys, mounts, transmog, or even some of the new gear pieces for your alts, now you will always get at least something when you run an island expedition. I kind of feel bad for the chaps who were farming this stuff before this change. Completing an island expedition to receive absolutely no loot whatsoever, not even a single doubloon, was a pretty crappy feeling, but thankfully you won't ever have to experience that ever again. If you're interested in collecting cute little animal things, or maybe just forcing those cute little animal things to fight to the death, I won't judge, you might be interested in the latest installment of raiding with leashes. 11 new pets have been added into 3 of the Mists of Pandaria raids, the Heart of Fear, the Mogashan Vaults, and the Terrace of Endless Spring. All of these are very easily soloable, so you can farm them to your heart's content on however many ults you have to really ramp up your chances to see these pets. Some of them look pretty cool. I'm sure at least one of them will be useful when it comes to actually pet battling, but most important of all, if you collect all 11, you'll get a shiny achievement for yourself, a handful of achievement points, and another pet. Happiness. Who knew there was a tiny little shard of happiness? There's only one way to get that little shard and claim it for your own, and who knows, you might get some cool transmog stuff along the way. With the war campaign and the promise of more story content leading up to the next raid, you might have missed the addition of a smaller questline relating to 2 very clever pint-sized pals. On your main faction boat you can talk to either Gallywix or Kelsey Steelspark, depending on which faction you play on, and they'll send you off on a quest to find out what happened to 2 characters from the Before the Storm book. Way back before the true potential of Azerite was known, Gallywix hired a goblin to help see what this stuff can do, and the goblin has an interesting relationship with a gnome of all other races. This questline finally tells the rest of their story, and you can pick up a mechanical parrot pet for all of your troubles. So if you like parrots, or just want to see what happens, you can start that questline on your main faction boat. If you haven't been paying much attention to your map recently, or maybe you just don't care about world quests anymore, you might have missed the addition of a few more Tortollan world quests. These new ones are fairly straightforward, quite quick to complete, which is one of the issues a lot of players had with the beachhead quests, and they even allow you to turn the tides of war. Yes, I said war. I mean war. War on the turtles is all they deserve. We've saved too many of them at this point, they're going to get out of control. The aptly named Cycle of Life world quest forces you to take on the form of one of the crabs you were so desperate to kill before and prevent the baby turtles from making it to the ocean. I feel like even though this seems a little evil, the way the world quest is set up is way more fun compared to the others. It's actually fantastic. You have more control over how fast you can complete the world quest. You can go a bit faster if you're good with your turtle throws and you're constantly doing something. That ticks all of the boxes for a world quest I can actually bear repeating more than once. So kudos to the dev team for that one. There's also a new calligraphy quest where you have to draw out shapes like some of the rune quests in Legion, but I guess I skipped over that one yesterday. I saw a lot of complaints on Reddit about it being very picky though, so I guess you need to be a very good drawer for that one to be quick. And for those who love to see the story from both sides, if you manage to complete the Tides of Vengeance achievement for both the Horde and the Alliance, which just requires you to get through the war campaign up until the Battle of Desert raid, you can get yourself two cool mounts, a wolf for the Alliance and a horse for the Horde. How quaint is that, swapping over their typical mounts because you turned traitor. If you want to get your hands on these mounts but you only play on one faction right now, I guess it's time to turn that cloak inside out and start leveling something new. If you have any characters that are decently high level, this week is actually great for leveling thanks to the Timewalking event. You can speed through the levels just by queuing into old dungeons, and when you hit max level, all that's left to do is get through that war campaign. Speaking of Timewalking, while the new Timewalking event for patch 8.15, the Warlords of Draenor expansion stuff, won't be seen until late May, that doesn't mean you can't start stockpiling some badges right now to take advantage of the new stuff coming later on. The Warlords of Draenor Timewalking event will bring a new vendor with all sorts of goodies, but there's two super important rewards here. The first is mounts. Everyone who loves to collect things loves mounts, whether it's because they look cool or just to add another number onto their collection, so we can start saving for those new mounts right now, but the other thing is the reputation tokens. Warlords of Draenor was the first expansion to handle flying by tying it to an achievement. That achievement requires reputation, so if you weren't playing during the Warlords of Draenor expansion, you might not have the required rep to be allowed to fly yet. You either have to go back and grind it all out, or you can wait until the Timewalking event comes around and buy up the rep tokens and just blow through that rep in like 10 minutes. Remember that each Timewalking event gives you 500 badges for your first dungeon on each character, because you get the quest and then you go turn it in, boom, 500 free badges. And most of the rewards are account bound, so you can gather up badges across multiple characters to buy all of the rewards you want. One toon will need at least 5,000 badges for that mount, and there's actually two mounts on the vendor from what we saw on the PTR, so two characters will need 5,000 badges each. That's a lot of badges, so it's best to start saving them up now. It's not all about endgame though. An interesting change came through in patch 8.15 which changes how rewards work for the entire leveling process of 1 to 100, so classic to Warlords of Draenor. Every item or quest reward now has a chance to upgrade to epic, so you could be happily plodding through Westfall and suddenly, boom, an epic reward from a quest. At like level 15. That's kind of weird, especially with classic WoW right around the corner where people would scoff at the idea of epics coming from anywhere but raiding and high-end PvP, but there we go. So if you see a shiny upgrade happen on one of your alts someday soon, you have patch 8.15 to thank for that. Maybe it'll help break up some of the monotony of questing, or maybe it's just another step too close to everything being RNG related. What do you think about this one? The character limit on servers was also removed for patch 8.15, so now you can have all 50 of your characters on a single server, if that's your kind of thing. I know this has been sort of doable for a while with connected servers, but now you can literally have every single character on the same server without any real penalties. Of course, getting all your toons moved to a single server is probably way too expensive for anyone to even consider, but at least you can rest assured that any more characters you want to create won't have to find a new home server. They can join your ever-expanding family of toons on whatever server you decide to call your base of operations. An interesting side effect of this though is that the 10 per hour instance lockout is based upon your server, so if you have 2 servers that you play on, that's kind of like having double the lockouts. This becomes pretty important when you're super speed clearing for mounts and whatnot, so if you like to do that sort of thing, just keep in mind that the 10 instance limit is per server, not per account, so you might not want everyone on one server. There's some new holiday fun to look out for too. The first thing would be the Dark Moon Fair roller coaster. We won't be able to see that until next month sadly, but it's a cool little addition and it's a new way to get your Wii buff for all of your experience and reputation grinding needs. There's also going to be a handful of new micro holidays, including the Luminous Luminaries in July, where you can dive deep into Vashir to see some cool bioluminescent creatures. Free T-shirt Day in August, which sort of speaks for itself really, and the Wanderers Festival in December, which is a Pandaren celebration in Krasarang Wilds. A few of these are a little ways off at this point, but it's always nice to see new holidays being added into the game. We're also moving on in the story, which has been made most evident by someone actually cleaning up the bodies in Zuldazar. Seriously, those things were rotting there for months. That must have been a nasty cleanup job, but they're gone now, and we have some new faces wandering around to show the transition of power from Rastakhan to Talanji. I wish they did this kind of thing more often, so we could see the world change as we progress the story, instead of having to wait several months for the story we already completed to start making sense. But the bodies are gone, we're moving on. Something else to look forward to, which isn't quite in the game yet, but it is tied to the story moving forward, is the Crucible of Storms questline. When this finally kicks off, you'll have to take part in the Naga Attack world quests on the shores of Zandalar and Kulturas. One of the Naga out there will drop an orb to start the quest chain, which takes you on a wild adventure with everyone's favourite Naifu. We know we end up at the Crucible of Storms somehow, some way, so finding out how the story progresses to there is going to be a lot of fun. The raid releases on April 16th, so I would expect to see the story quest start a few weeks before that, so it might actually be fairly soon. But that's my little list of features or additions which might have slipped under your nose. Is there anything in this list that you're interested in? More battle pets, more achievements, saving up Timewalking badges for those cool new rewards on day 1 of Timewalking Warlords of Draenor? Or are you just waiting for the Crucible of Storms to open up for some new raiding content? Leave all your thoughts in the comments section below. A big thank you to all of our supporters over on Patreon. You can see their names floating by on screen. If you want to join these lovely guys and gals, you can find a link in the description below. Remember to leave a like just below the video before you leave, and if you want to see more, make sure to subscribe. But apart from that, thanks for watching folks, good luck and have fun, and as always I will see you next time.